fight fans, to episode 23 of the Hooksin MMA podcast. Hope you tuned in to that banger of a UFC pay-per-view on Saturday night. We're going to be breaking that down for you. But first, wanted to introduce you to this week's guests. We've got three on board, one fighting Saturday night on the fight night card. It's Malcom X Gordon. He's a Canadian flyweight. He's fighting the Tibetan Eagle on the prelim. So make sure to be cheering him on. We also have Ryan Dickson on tonight's episode. He's coming off a big KO win in the XFC after a lengthy kind of sabbatical away from MMA. So it'll be interesting to hear about that comeback story in his interview. And then finally, we've got Justin Guitar Hero Jaynes. He's fighting in the UFC Fight Night next weekend. So we're going to be looking ahead to that card as well. Mr. Ben Zeman is going to be starting us off with hot headline news, looking back to that pay-per-view, touching on what's coming next in UFC 256, and a little bit about the Mike Perry debacle, missing weight. And then, of course, getting ahead of that book, looking ahead to Blaydes versus Lewis this weekend. We got a couple nice locks and value plays for you guys, so make sure to tune in for the whole episode. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button, share this with your MMA fans who are friends of yours, and just pass on the good word of the Hooksin family. Kicking things off, we got Mr. Ben Zeman.
Yeah, thanks, Crons. Well, I mean, going back to that weekend, last weekend there, I mean, Davidson's performance, obviously great. Most of us pretty much saw that coming, right? It certainly proved most of us right there. And looks to continue his reign in the next pay-per-view. But one thing I wanted to touch on very quickly that I feel like people weren't really talking about as much is that there was actually a lot of things that Figgy did that were illegal. He poked Perez's eyes. I don't know if you go back and if you guys remember that, but he poked Perez's eye in one exchange, and then Perez immediately backed up. It was the very first time in the entire fight. I know it wasn't a long fight, but very first time in the fight, he backed up behind those black lines, kind of warning the fighters when they start getting close to the cage. First time he backed up behind those lines was after that eye poke. And then Perez was having some success grappling, going for the takedown, and Figgy grabbed on the fence, and the ref knocked his hand away pretty aggressively, and he tried to do it again. So that stopped the takedown for sure, I think. Does that change the outcome of the fight? Probably not. I don't believe so, but it shows a little gamemanship on, by the champ side a little bit there, right? And similar to like Cormier or Don Jones kind of eye pokes and, kind of gaming it a little bit there. So I thought that was interesting, but wow, you got to give him respect for stepping up so quickly here, like 1 month away basically, right? Or 3 weeks away from the next thing. But I am concerned. A weight cutting like that, and Figgy is a big guy for 125. He walks around at 155. He's actually bigger than Cody Garbrandt, and I'm concerned with this weight cut, how well this weight cut's going to go. Because Marino, he did just fight as well, so he's in the same situation. But Marino doesn't cut as nearly as much as Davidson. So that's something I'm going to be kind of thinking about going to this fight. But mad respect to him.
Yeah, Figueiredo again. Besides what you're talking about, Z, a couple mishaps there. He looked fantastic again. He's strong as fuck. He can knock out anyone. He's got the most power in the flyweight division easily. Looking ahead, though, I'm personally a massive Brandon Moreno fan. I'm happy that he gets the next shot. They could have easily maybe slid in Garbrandt there because he was originally supposed to fight Figueiredo, and Moreno was actually supposed to fight Perez. So it makes sense. I mean, Brandon Royval was looking really good lately, submitting Kai Kara France, and then trying to think, who was it? Who did he win last one? No, it was Kai Kara France, sorry. And then I think he won Tim Elliott, his fight before. So he was hot, and he came in, and Moreno took care of business. This is going to be a great fight too. I think you're right. It's a little concerning with the weight cut on even shorter notice than this for Figueiredo. But I think Moreno is a little more well-rounded than Perez. And I think he obviously it's going to last a lot longer than it did. Looking forward to that fight. And once that fight happens, if Fig can get past that, then you're talking about maybe Garbrandt, or maybe Cejudo comes back, or maybe he moves up and fights somebody in the bantamweight division. But Figueiredo is, pound for pound, one of the best right now, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think they got this one in quick just so that they could wait, because Garbrandt said he's not going to be back till March no matter what. So I don't think they wanted to have Figgy on the shelf for 4 months when they could capitalize on it. The weight cut, though, like one positive for that is he's already on weight where all he has to do is his water cut. So it's not like he's going to balloon up at all in between. So,
Right.
I mean, that's one positive that, I don't know, maybe he might get down there, but who knows? Yeah, it's going to be a tough cut. He looked like the size difference from him on weigh-ins to when he stepped into the cage was like two different people. He looked like a scrawny little idiot walking up on the stage, and then he's gigantic in the cage. Crazy.
Yeah, his muscle mass is ridiculous for that weight division. Exactly. And that's why I want him to move up to 135 personally, like after this fight pretty much. Or if Cejudo comes back or something for the 125 or whatever, then we can talk about that. But I want him to move up to 135.
So many good matchups for him there.
Yeah, if he beats Marino and they wait till March and they do Garbrandt, there's only one other fight at flyweight, and that's Cejudo. If not, he gets through those two fights. Bantamweight is the obvious upgrade, I think.
Yeah,
that kind of sucks that Cejudo left. That would have been actually a really good fight.
Really good.
Cejudo and Fig, but
and I actually, as much as I love Figgy, I give Cejudo. I mean, like I'm gonna give Cejudo the edge in that match.
I would too.
His fight IQ is ridiculous, right? Like I remember when he was fighting Marlon Moraes. He was getting beat up that first round, and actually I think beginning the second too. But he changed it up, right? He started doing that tie clinch, started doing that knee. He almost kind of showed a blueprint of how to beat Moraes actually, and then everyone started doing that after that. So yeah, no, I think that's extremely interesting matchup, and could fight at 135 or 125, whatever they want to do it at. So
yeah, and he'll neutralize Figgy's biggest advantage, which is his strength advantage over everybody. I don't think he's gonna out muscle Cejudo.
No, not in grappling. No.
If Cejudo's willing to call out Volkanovski and try to be triple champ, I think he'll be okay in the strength department against Figueiredo.
Yeah. But that other one I wanted to jump in there quickly was obviously the Valentina fight. Certainly not as impressive as we were all expecting, but certainly, still a good performance on the champ. She showed why she was there, and won basically 4 rounds out of 5. Right? She probably lost that second round. But what I thought was kind of interesting, and what I'm starting to compare it to almost, she's almost coming to Habib level type of stuff, where if you beat her, just if you have 1 round over her, it's like people are like ridiculous. People think it's crazy, right? That anyone's even having any success against her. Same thing with the Habib, right? And
like Joe Rogan said.
yeah, exactly, right? Like it's becoming dangerously on that level where it's, people aren't really giving her the credit that she deserves. Now, she's been dummying everyone leading up to this, so I understand why people, were kind of, not super impressed with that decision win. And she showed some holes in her game a little bit, right? Jessica Andrade moving up, I think, offers some danger to her. Some danger to Valentina, but not, I don't think that strength is quite there at that division. But Valentina showed some holes there, right? She was able to be pushed up against the fence. And what I noticed too, when she is looking to avoid strikes, she backs up very linearly, or like very much in a line. She's just backing up in a line. She's not using angles. She's not backing up in angles, anything like that. She's just trying to lean back and move back. Well, you get a person doing combos on you, you're going to get caught, right? So
like Andrade.
Exactly. Like Andrade likes to do. Exactly. She likes to do hooks, loves to do hooks, combo, jab, hook combos, right? So yeah, no, it's going to be, I think it's a dangerous fight, but yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
I honestly wonder though, Z, if it was just, she didn't really respect Maya's striking whatsoever. Because if you watch, like when she fought Joanna, she didn't back up in a straight line. She was angling out. I don't know if it was part of the game plan. I have no idea what she was doing. It was almost like she was allowing the clinch to happen just so that she could win at that game. Like she was doing John Jones type shit there, where I'm just gonna fight you at what you're good at, and I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
If you
you're mentally into it as much as some other fights. I agree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was just kind of there for I'm gonna beat up another one of these 125ers. Yep, easy peasy. But it's like, well, they're there for a reason. I mean, yes, your skills are obviously, very, very high compared to a lot of these people, but they're there for a reason. They're not just gonna roll over and let you beat them up. Like they're gonna fight you. So
yeah.
you gotta come out there ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say MMA math tells us that she's gonna win since she beat Joanna and Joanna beat what's her name, Andrade. So
Andrade,
I think we can call it in MMA math.
Kronz and everybody else. What do you guys think the percentages that Shevchenko either fights Andrade or Lauren Murphy next? What would you give the percentage? Because those are the
80-20.
Yeah,
I agree with 80-20.
Or even like 90-10.
80 for Andrade, just because
Yeah.
marketability.
Murphy's
That
talking
and
way
more
too much
competitive.
shit.
Yeah, it's just more competitive, I feel.
Yeah, I agree in terms of what Andrade has done in her career, but Murphy has won 4 in a row, right? So she definitely at least could deserve it.
You look at her strength of schedule though, doesn't hold a light to.
No.
She has been
Not
finishing
at all.
people though. I don't know. She's
Yeah, but you got Andrade just beat Chukagian, who's the number 1.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that automatically qualifies her.
So you think 80-20 or 90-10, eh?
Yeah. Because again, because I think Lauren, she's saying some weird stuff in the media. I don't think the UFC brass likes her at all. They're not going to give her, and she needs to like do a Tony Ferguson type run and like kill 10 guys and then or 10 women or whatever, right? And then she gets the thing. Well, obviously it's pretty depth. I mean, there's no depth here, but she needs to get another win or two, I think, before they give her that shot.
That's the only reason why I bring that up, because she is 37, so she's getting up there. It's almost like I don't know, like black.
Yeah.
Zero marketability to that name though. Like nobody knows who she is.
Yeah. And if you saw her fight on the Khabib pay-per-view, right, a couple weeks ago, she beat that little like Beatles-looking girl, that Shakarova.
She looked pretty good though.
The Beatles-looking girl.
Come on, man. What do you mean she looked good?
She looked good.
To go
She
play
finished
Yellow
her.
Submarine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the girl she fought, she looked like she was in the Beatles and she was 12 years old.
And that was her first fight in the UFC, that girl too.
Yeah,
so exactly. That's why I don't know why like Murphy, like I get it. Like, yeah, you're ranked good, you're ranked well, but like, you gotta go and you gotta beat someone real. Like, like it's just like you can't, again, like if they give you the shot, they give you the shot. But you cannot be going out there all arrogant, acting like you just knocked out someone real, like you didn't. So
it's because of her age. She knows the time is near, so she's obviously calling for the fight. That's what she should be doing. So one more probability then. Who the average MMA fan, probability of knowing Dan Severn or Lauren Murphy?
Oh, Dan Severn.
Easily.
What percentage?
100.
99-1. Yeah.
Man, you guys said no one knows Dan Severn.
No.
Compared to Lauren Murphy, though, they know.
Yeah, relatively. Relative.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's hard. I don't know. Dan Severn's definitely, I know that. Lauren Murphy, I didn't know until like a couple months ago, basically, right?
Man, stop.
All right, the commentary bias, though. You guys see that in that fight?
Oh,
Anytime Maya would do anything, Rogan was losing his mind. Like she was winning the fight.
Yeah.
Like literally fucking Valentina would like give her a 3-piece combo and Maya would return with one hook and he'd be like, "Oh, Maya, like look at her return." Doesn't mention the 3 strikes that Valentina just had. It's Maya's big hook. Like I don't like.
There was the one where Valentina hit a knee, an elbow, and an uppercut, and then Maya clinched. He's like, "Oh, she got the clinch. Interesting."
It's Joe Rogan's over. Rogan's had one too many 4-hour sessions with Alex Jones. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, he's on his downslope of his
falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
we got to talk about Tim Neens and Mike Perry. Coming into the fight, Perry was supposed to fight Lawler, which was a kind of like a dream matchup for brawlers for the average MMA fan. And he backed out and Means took the fight. Going into it, fairly even odds, pretty even on paper. And then it comes out after the fight that Perry was direct messaging Tim Means about him, showing pictures of him eating cheeseburgers and onion rings and just being a Mike Perry motherfucker. And I guess somebody said here, Means sent him back an avocado toast that he was eating. Like, these guys are, fucking hilarious. In terms of the fight though, even Dana says, how exciting Mike Perry is as a fighter. He is. He brings it. He's tough as fuck. He's interesting. He does a lot of weird shit outside the ring. He's got his pregnant fiance or girlfriend beside him and a buddy. That's who's in his corner, which was kind of odd. And Means looked pretty good. He used the jab, used the length. Ended up getting the W pretty handily. 2 29-28s and a 30-27. Mike Perry was maybe going to get that fight with Darren Till next if he would have won that, which would have been hilarious. I don't think he deserves that fight now.
No.
But yeah, what did you guys think of that fight?
Yeah, well, no, I thought just in general that, Mike Perry's Mike Perry, right? I love the guy. Like, he's obviously great for the sport. And I think he would be an amazing fighter if he just, had his head screwed on straight there. And for easy lines, I called it wrong. But it was minus 150 when I was speaking about it. It went down to, I think he was almost the underdog by the time the fight. Yeah, like everyone just once all the weight cutting, all that stuff came out, it was kind of not obvious he was going to lose, obviously, but like right trending in the wrong way there. And I think, in that Mickey Gall fight, he got a little bit arrogant, a little bit too cocky there, where he was, kind of beating up on a little bit of an inexperienced guy, or, got the win over a guy, and he thought, hey, I can just do the same thing. I can kind of screw around. Yeah, have my girlfriend hold the pads, all that stuff. I'm still gonna, put on I'm still gonna win potentially, right? But I think he kind of knows now. He learned his lesson, hopefully, but his skull is very thick, literally and figuratively as well. So I think he's going to be able, or I think that's going to be kind of the big question. No matter who they put him up against, is how serious does he take that fight in terms of the lead up and with the performance after that.
Boys, I don't think he takes anything seriously. How about his walkout song? They put the wrong song on. He just starts jamming it and singing Halo.
Yeah, that was
so funny.
That was scripted. I think again, like, that just shows Mike Perry. Like, I believe that was scripted. He knew it was going to be a Halo, but he tried to pretend, oh, who is this? What is this? And it was a kind of a joke to him, right? But again, when you're thinking more about your walkout song than the actual fight, like, how am I going to beat this guy? Well, you're not, but again, go ahead.
The other thing too is, remember his last fight against Mickey Gall, and after he was talking about like all the taxes and stuff that he owed in a bunch of different countries.
Ukraine.
Yeah, and then he's sending DMs the week of to his opponent with cheeseburgers and onion rings. He ends up missing weight, and Means ends up saying he gave him an extra 27 or 29,000 to him because he missed weight. That was his penalty for it. So like, it's his own stupidity within his own stupidity. Like, how dumb do you have to be? Like, he's fucking so dumb.
So
like,
boys, I just want to ask you this though. So any fighter in the history of any athlete in the history of any sport, if they went through beating up an old guy, just starching him in a bar in front of everybody on camera, beating up his ex-wife, racist remarks on social media, missing weight while texting or sending pictures of eating cheeseburgers, and then getting outclassed in a fight, and Dana still says he's a fun guy to watch, we're going to keep him around. Like, no athlete in history is getting that treatment. That's crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, look at Formiga. Formiga got cut for like no reason. Like, look at these guys. Like, there's just, the people are way more deserving to be on the roster than this guy. Well, that's the thing. But he brings in the money, he brings in the views and everything, Mike Perry, right? And so it makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
The other thing,
Formiga
yeah,
gets beat by a guy that's getting a title shot and gets cut from from the roster.
That's crazy. Sorry, boys, the other thing I wanted to bring up quick, Joaquin Buckley, knockout of the decade earlier on against Impa. I had a feeling Jordan Wright might give him a little bit better of a fight. He's finished every fight that he has in his career, and Buckley answered the call. The other cool thing is he just signed on to fight on the McGregor-Poirier fight, January 23rd against Julian Marquez. There's kind of a battle going back and forth with him and James Krause. They've been calling each other out like crazy. And that fight eventually will happen. But it's not going to happen on the 23rd. He's got Marquez. The other cool part is he doesn't want to quit his job at Walgreens. So he's going to continue to work there and provide for his family. And looks like he's going to fight for the third time in like 5 months, which is pretty cool. Starting to be a marketable, really likable guy. Knockout of the decade, like I said, a nice finish last weekend, and looks to make it 3 in a row in a short span. So
man, I think Krause is in trouble if that fight happens. He's so much bigger than Krause.
He is. Krause is underrated like too, though. Krause is
underrated, but he's not going to knock him out. That guy's not going to have any respect for him. Buckley's just going to walk him down throwing haymakers.
You know what? Holland is he's talked about dropping a 170, and he knocked out Buckley. So I don't know. It's not impossible.
Yeah, but Holland's got knockout power.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it should be good.
I wouldn't want to be calling that guy out right now.
No, definitely not. He's on fire.
Krause got to screw loose if he thinks that's a good idea.
But if he beats Marquez and they match up him and Krause, that's a great fight to watch. Anyways, as a fan. Yeah. So should we touch on base about this weekend? What are we thinking? Easy lines locked and loaded.
Yeah, let's jump into it here. So just to quickly recap last week. I mean, easy lines was good on the main event. Obviously, Davison by an early finish. Co-main event, obviously, we did take Valentina. I was expecting more of a finish there, but we were 3-2 on the weekend last week. So currently sitting at 78 correct picks, 44 incorrect, with a 64% win rate right now going into this weekend. With the pretty good main event, or the heavyweight main event, which are always fun, right? Curtis Blaydes taking on Derek Lewis. Blaydes, pretty major favorite at -350. Lewis at +275. Derek Lewis is coming off a 3-fight win streak, which he finished Alexei Oleinik at the beginning of the second round with a right hook ground and pound finish. Has looked more in shape and kind of more athletic in the last few fights, so that's always good to see. But I think he's going to be in trouble here against Blaydes, certainly in this matchup, right? Yeah, yes, Oleinik is known for his grappling as well, but it's nothing really compared to Curtis Blaydes here. Also Oleinik is 50 years old, so I think Lewis is in for a little bit of a different situation here with Blaydes. Not to mention Blaydes striking, I would say, is more technically sound than Oleinik's, of course, as well. So, but Blaydes, he's coming off a decision win over Alexander Volkov, which he did look good, but didn't really have the dominating performance Blaydes himself and the fans were really expecting at that time either. Instead, Volkov kind of caught everyone's attention a little bit of how strong his grappling was in that match. Volkov is coming off a win in which he kind of basically fucked up Walt Harris in 6 minutes. So that kind of shows you how strong Blaydes really is in there as well. And basically in short, obviously I'm going with Curtis Blaydes here to win this fight. Although I do think the -350 is a little high. I mean, Lewis does have that KO power. And if he catches anyone at the right time, the fight's over. So Blaydes is going to definitely have to be careful. But the only person that Blaydes has ever lost to twice, Francis Ngannou. So he knows the danger of this type of power already. He's experienced this type with Francis, experienced it already with Francis. So I think he's going to be smart in there. Look to use strong jabs and kicks to get himself on the inside of Lewis and initiate some takedowns and grappling exchanges. So I like Blaydes to finish this fight as well at -120. First off, this is a 5-round fight for Derek Lewis. It never really gets there for him. And, I know Curtis wasn't able to finish Volkov necessarily, but I think Volkov's grappling and defensive jiu-jitsu is actually going to be, is better than Derek's at this point. I think once Blaydes kind of gets Lewis into those positions on the ground, he's not going to be able to defend as well as Volkov, and is going to be able to, eventually kind of get those ground and pound strikes in. Under 3.5 rounds, minus 188, strong lean as well. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we saw what happens with an elite wrestler with Derek Lewis when he fought Cormier. I kind of see it playing out the same way as Cormier. He'll get held down, beat up a little bit, and then, I don't know, either finished with elbows or something or choked out. But that being said, Lewis also has that weird ability where he's just like, all right, I'm done being on my back. And he just like lifts people off him. So
True.
I don't know. Who knows? And Blaydes, he got really tired in that last fight, which if you get tired against Derek Lewis, it's not going to be a good time for you. So we'll see how that goes. But I agree with you. I think Blaydes will have to screw up pretty drastically here to lose this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm in on that with you. Blaydes is just like you said, he's only lost to Ngannou. He's better everywhere than Lewis is, except for the power, maybe. And I don't think the power is good enough to beat somebody like Blaydes. Ngannou's talked about being pissed off because the heavyweight division is kind of stuck right now. He's waiting around, but you can't really, even if Blaydes wins this, you can't put him up against Ngannou for a third time. But I do think Blaydes wins, and I don't know. Maybe you do Blaydes and Jones coming in, and the winner gets the winner of Miocic and Ngannou or something like that. But that would be an interesting fight. But we got to get there first. I think Blaydes wins, and I agree. I think it's a finish.
Yeah, going back to what Josh was saying, I mean, yeah, definitely Blaydes is, his cardio is a little bit suspect. He was getting tired of that Volkov fight, but if Blaydes is getting tired, then you guarantee fucking Lewis is going to be tired at that same point too. So it's going to be an interesting fight, but yeah, I think that those lines are a little bit, too much money is coming down on Blaydes. That's why it's so high. Lewis definitely has a better chance than that, but I'm still going with Blaydes. They're pretty good, or pretty well. Next up, co-main event, light heavyweight fight between Anthony Smith and Devin Clark. Anthony's, is a slight favorite, minus 138, Clark plus 110, so pretty close to a pick-em here. But Anthony Smith, he's coming off a decision loss to Alexander Rakic, and that heartbreaking loss we saw against Glover Teixeira, which, his teeth was falling out. His corner was, sending him back. Didn't really look like a good scene there, but for this fight, Anthony, I think he's taking on a much lower skill set than his past two fights, I think, and he's going to have success. He's only 32 years old, despite having like 50 professional fights or whatever it is. So I think he's going to be able to lean on that. But Devin, he's coming off a decision win over Alonzo Minifield, who was finishing everyone up until that fight, basically. So Devin, it shows his toughness. He certainly deserves a fight against a former contender like Anthony Smith at this point. Devin stood in there in the pocket with some exchanges with Alonzo, and was able to basically exchange well with him, but also use his grappling skill to really control the fight, get some takedowns in that third round, and win on the judges' scorecard, basically, right? But I think Anthony's experience comes into play here in this 3-round fight and for that fight IQ. I don't believe Devin will be able to control Anthony in the grappling like that, so I'm going with Anthony Smith here, minus 138. Mainly due to his experience, and I do I like the matchup in terms of grappling. So, but I really do like the fight to go to the distance as well. I don't believe a finish here happens. I think they match up well, and it's a good fight, but certainly goes to distance at minus 120. Anthony Smith decision plus 350 looks like a good value, juicy to me. But this is a close one. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I like what you said. Before Devin Clark's last win too, he beat Daquan Townsend by a decision, who just got cut by the UFC. We always talk on this podcast, specifically Kron's, about who have you fought, what's your strength of schedule. It's nowhere close to who Anthony Smith has fought. I'm going to say one thing. I agree with you, Z, and I'm on Anthony Smith too. But if he happens to lose and if he happens to get knocked out, he's got to maybe seriously think about throwing in the towel. How many more poundings can this guy take? You did say his age, but like, I don't know. He's taken a beating lately. I think he wins, but if he gets finished or something, he's got some things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, he's 30. Like I'm older than him. Look at his face and then look at mine. I mean, like, I'm not saying I'm good looking, but like he looks like he's 42 years old.
Don't sell
right?
yourself short, Seaman.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying though. But like, at least I got a little bit of a baby face going. This guy, he looks at
Looks
32,
like his face has been put through a meat grinder.
Exactly. Like, it just doesn't look right. And like I said, it's 50 fights, and he had about 30 of them outside the UFC as well. So. Yeah, it's I agree with you, right? I think it's one of two ways. Either he wins in decision and keeps this going for a couple more fights, maybe even goes for another title run, perhaps something like that, or he might get finished and he's kind of over it and he just goes in his analyst career or whatever, right?
Yeah, so, I don't see him losing by decision. I really don't.
No, I agree with that. Either it's a KO by Devin or Anthony wins by decision, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Just be careful though, guys. I know Devin's record's only 12-4. This is his 11th UFC fight. He's fought Jan Blachowicz. He's lost to Rakic as well. We were actually at that event, Seaballs. That was the Holloway Ortega card. He lost via spinning back fist. So like, you scroll back earlier in his career, he's actually fought some decent names. So like, you look on paper, 12-4, 11 UFC fights. Like, it's not bad, but I see this one being pretty close. It's a coin flip in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree exactly. This one's not. Don't go heavy on this, guys. Anthony Smith, don't go heavy on. I don't know. For me, even that decision does. I still can see Anthony Smith losing a decision, but I don't know. Decision minus 120, I think is kind of a little bit of a better bet there. A little bit stronger for me. But yeah, I'm leaning on Anthony Smith there. Very slightly, but I definitely agree with that. And I didn't realize how many UFC fights Devin actually had there.
It's kind of sneaky, right? Like, when you see the record 12-4, you're like, oh, maybe it's his like fourth fight, but he's been in the organization since early 2016. So he's racked up a lot of appearances over the years. I know we're running short on time. Any other, value plays or other picks you want to?
I had a couple to throw in quick, if you don't mind, Z.
No, I'm done. So go ahead. Yeah.
I'm really high on the skill set of Miguel Blaydes. He's a minus 60. I like a money line to beat Sato. The other one I really liked, where is it? The Alpha Ginger Spike Carlisle. He's a minus 170. He fought really well against Billy Q, who's been on fire. He went to decision with him. And the last one, just an underdog pick. What do we call it? Value pick, I guess. Canadian Malcom Gordon, his first UFC fight. He's a flyweight. He was forced to fight at bantamweight because his opponent wasn't on weight, so they moved it up to bantamweight. It was short notice, and it was on Fight Island. He ended up losing and getting submitted. He didn't have a full training camp, and he kind of got screwed. His best skill set is at 125. He's able to utilize all of his stuff. He's a pretty big underdog. He is a plus 250 underdog. Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have a 12-3 professional record. UFC fighter just fought on Fight Island. Malcom X Gordon. How's it going today?
Good. Unfortunately, I got to correct you on my record, which just like completely kicks me in the ass. But it's actually 12-4 now. But that's it.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have fellow UFC fighter. Hopefully, next fight he'll be fighting in the flyweight division. 12-4 overall record. Malcom X Gordon. How's it going today?
Good. What's up, man? Thanks for having me once again.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate your time. So you were born in Calgary. We were just chatting. And then when did you, you move from Calgary, and where did you go? And, now you're residing in Toronto.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact time and whatnot, but it was, like I was either 19 or 20. And I moved from Calgary actually to Vegas. I was competing in like grappling tournaments and whatnot. And I by out of the blue decided to jump into like the Tap Out Training Center. That's when I met Sean Tompkins and the Team Tompkins guys and got hooked up with them. And then, I had my first amateur fights actually down there in the Tough Enough organization. And like, you know, unfortunately, you know, everybody kind of knows Sean Tompkins passed away. The guy said taking me under their wing, and I was up until that point, up until actually this year, I was based solely out of London, Ontario, and now I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, and everybody's got their own path, right? And that's where you've ended up, and I'm sure some good things are going to come because of it. With your nickname, you know, obviously, if someone reads that, they might have an idea. But just where did it come from for you, and what does it mean to you to have that nickname?
You know what? I always I always get like drilled on it and whatnot. But like, in all honesty, I think I've had it for like a long, like even when I was a kid, like there was like, it was kind of like a joke. They were calling me Malcolm X. I know Malcolm X was like a pretty influential, you know, person for the Black civil rights and like, you know, a bunch of civil rights movements and whatnot. I'm not very political at all, so I can't quote a single thing that he's ever said. But yeah, that was it. You know what I mean? I personally would have wanted Flash, but you know, you can't pick your nickname.
Yeah, no, you can't. I've talked to a few people. You definitely can't pick your nickname. But you know, even if I'm not a political guy either, so but with stuff going on in 2020, besides the Corona stuff, you know, the big thing is, you know, some movement. So it is relevant, and you know, there has to be change, and you know, I'm okay with the nickname. I like it. So
yeah, I've had a lot of some people don't like it, some people do like it. I think at one point, like, which I'm ashamed to say, but at some point I even like changed it for one fight because of all of it. But then I was like, man, there's no way. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's been a part of me for so long, and like who cares at that point? It's like, you know what I mean? Like there's way worse things you could do.
Way worse. I couldn't agree more. So what captured your interest in MMA? So when did you start? How old were you? And what was like the part that hooked you, I guess?
Initially it was grappling. I started doing like jiu-jitsu and whatnot, and competing in that. And I weirdly enough, I distinctively remember my first like time where I had seen MMA, and it kind of interested me. And it was actually, I saw this guy who was fighting in a cage. First of all, I thought it was like the weirdest thing ever because they weren't wearing a gi, and I was like, is this like what's even going on? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he beat the guy up, and then he starts doing push-ups in the ring. And I was like, this guy's fucking, sorry, I don't mean to swear.
No.
Like, this guy's like, he's crazy, right? And we're, oddly enough, whatever, fast forward like a few years later, that was Mark Hominick, and he ended up being my coach up until this point, right? So, the first ever fight I think I ever watched MMA was Hominick versus, what was that, Eves Edwards, yeah. And he beat him up, and then he started doing push-ups in the ring. Like that was his thing, you know what I mean? And I was like, this guy's like, I didn't know what I thought of him at the time, but it probably wasn't anything good. But like,
no.
I loved it though. I thought it was cool. It was cool. So that actually was one of the moments where I was hooked on MMA, and then from that point on, I started to do like a little bit more kickboxing, and never quite. And it was never like I wanted to do like I did jiu-jitsu, I did kickboxing, and then just like I didn't actually put it together until I'd run into those guys in Vegas. And then that's when it kind of started getting together, you know?
Yeah. Well, the fact that you're reiterating it now, saying, you know, I wasn't sure what I thought of it then, but it at least hooked your interest, right? And something you remembered. So
like I was even like back in those days too. I remember the gym I used to train at in Calgary, for like my entire career there. That was where, I don't know if you remember Nick Ring.
Oh yeah, the Promise Ring.
There you go, right? Yeah. So Nick was, and he was doing his at one point in time in that he was like actually in like the Ultimate Fighter show, right? So it was like pretty exciting. And then it was like it started to get a little bit more serious, whatnot. We had a big guy that was coming up to what's his name? There's a bunch of guys from from that side that were doing it big out there, and you know, now it's no, I absolutely like I remember Hakeem. I don't know if you remember Hakeem Duwadu.
Oh yeah, the mean Hakeem, right?
Mean Hakeem, right? I've known Hakeem for years, and like we basically kind of like almost grew up together in the same communities. And he was like, but he was in the kickboxing scene before, and I never even thought he would ever do MMA.
Some Muay Thai too, right?
He was all Muay Thai and killing guys. And then I was like, he was always kind of like a guy that I would look up to in that sense, because he was just incredible stand-up. I still think he's probably the best stand-up in that division by far.
Oh, and also like in the 145-pound division in the UFC, it's extremely we're on the map, but we're looking to put ourselves on the map in some other weight classes, including yourself, right? We have Tanner Bozer up at heavyweight who's doing big things right now, and we can't wait to see you back there. Jesse Ronson, of course, with a big win. So we'll see what happens here.
Absolutely.
So just wondering, some of you just named a couple guys, but some other guys, training partners that push you every day that are really good, that maybe are on the map, that, that make you better, and they're also good themselves.
Yeah. Well, right now I got Tony Laramie. TJ's younger brother. And
TJ's younger brother.
Yeah, we've been I've been training with those kids for years up until this point. I was like probably the most excited I've been since I lost. But to see TJ make it to the UFC, I was stoked. You know what I mean? Like, I was so happy for that kid, because I know how hard he works. Yeah. And how he deserves it.
And that story too, about I didn't even know the deep part of the story, right?
A lot of people, like, unless you're really close to them, you probably would have never known that. But yeah, no, there is definitely a story there, which makes that much more incredible, the things that they've been able to achieve, which is, you know what I mean? Because I remember their dad was driving them to almost like every grappling tournament every weekend, you know what I mean? Making sure that these kids were competing and staying active. Yeah. And, it's just a dedication on his part too that was part of the reason why they're so successful.
Exactly, right? Sorry, finding a way to, go when you're going through shitty stuff like that, to keep your mind busy and active. Yeah. And they have.
Absolutely. But Tony 100% is definitely, I think, the next to go in the flyweight division too. So that would be really exciting news to hear back from. Aside from that, there's, I haven't, like I said, I was in a different mindset before this whole signage happened. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't 100% thinking I was going to make it to the UFC ever. It was like I had a year layoff after probably one of the biggest wins of my life, and I didn't hear a single word back from the UFC or my manager. And there was some possible talks about the Contender Series. So I really wasn't, and in all honesty, I really wasn't interested in the Contender Series, because I just obviously it's a foot in the door, but it's still not a guarantee.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You could still win and still not get a contract. So
yeah, there's 5 fights and 10 fighters. 5 are gonna win, and out of those 5, usually it's 3 maybe that get a contract, right? That's not a good percentage. So I know what you're saying. Just referencing what you just said though, Yoni Sherbatov, that win in TKO, is that the win you were talking about? That's the best win of your career?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I put a lot into that fight, and at that time I was staying active. He was on the radar to get back in the UFC. There was a lot of hype behind him, and it took a lot out of me to actually stay into that fight. Right? Obviously, that fight fell through multiple times. Yeah. Before it actually happened, and that's no fault on either one of ours, but it's just sometimes what happens. Yep. But that was definitely it. And after the dust had settled after that fight, and not to hear back from the UFC or have a call, I was kind of like, okay, you know what, we're spinning our tires here. Clearly they're not interested. And then, and then also to hear about the UFC getting dropped, right? Or sorry, the flyweight division getting dropped. Yeah. Yeah. Then I really wasn't confident that there was going to be anything to come out of this. I was like, you know what? And I don't fight well at 135 pounds, unfortunately. It's just the truth. Yeah. So, I really didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't have that. And my mind wasn't in it anymore, unfortunately. Right. So when I got that short notice call, I pulled myself together, but the next one will definitely be a better representation too. And, the short notice is so hard to do when you're not Canada's quarantine, it sucked.
Yeah, and
You know?
and to talk about what you're talking about at 135, the Fight Island, I want to talk about that experience, but the actual fight ended up being at 135, right? Which is where you said,
Yeah.
you don't fight best. So
Yeah.
what do you take from that? Like just
There's the, you know what, I actually was I was super, there's a lot of like things that I've been trying to accomplish in my career, just like with some of like the little things in the cage itself, and I felt like I did well at those. Obviously the fight didn't have, outcome didn't come out, but like that was just training, you know what I mean? Like I said, Canada's quarantine was difficult to deal with, in the sense that every gym was essentially shut down. And then I'm not necessarily one to like go and train in someone's basement, like especially under the circumstances I didn't think I was ever going to make to the UFC. So I wasn't expecting a short notice call anywhere.
Yep.
I thought if any time it would have been appropriate to rest for once in my career, it would have been that time.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So, they caught me when I was completely resting, and at my absolute worst, but like I had to pull myself together because I didn't think, I'm probably not gonna get that shot twice. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. And it was actually originally slated for 125 pounds, and then we had an opponent pull out.
Doskolchuk, right?
Yeah, and I was actually excited to, because he's more of a striker. So, we were sharpening up on the striking aspect of the whole thing. And then I was just hoping that my natural,
Like ability
whatever at jiu-jitsu would have kind of like kicked in. Like that was kind of, you know what I mean? Because it's short notice.
Yep.
We have 4 days essentially of training, and then we had to fly out, and then there was multiple periods within that time or after that, before we got there, that we would be in quarantine. So there's really not, you couldn't do hard training, and you know what I mean? So
that's the other thing too, the flight, like that, throw that in there too, right? Like it's not like it's a few hours out west or something. Like
yeah, it takes a couple days, and unfortunately those couple days help with weight cut and whatnot, right? You're sitting around, you're quarantined in the room, so it's very difficult to get like a substantial workout to get up a decent amount of sweat and whatever, and you're in a hotel room, whichever. So I'm not like, it was actually a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
You're not going to bash it. It was actually probably the most incredible experience of my life. But hopefully next time under better circumstances, I'll definitely shine.
Yeah, and so that was at 135, and I did see today, your opponent, Albir Albazi, I think his name is booked to fight Rolion Paiva, who's actually a really good fighter too. So that's an interesting fight. It's not like the guy you fought was a bum either. Like he's actually really good. Like,
yeah.
So you move on to 125. Hopefully next fight.
Is that at 135 pounds?
I checked. It's actually a flyweight.
Oh wow! So he got dropped back down. Okay.
Yeah, which is, I don't know, maybe he has more time to make that cut, but
yeah. He was huge. He felt huge. I don't know if it was just because whichever, but like he felt huge. Like I'd be surprised. I seen the shoulders on this kid, and it was I was like, holy smokes.
To be honest, I was up camping for the weekend, and I was streaming it on my phone. I came back home, and it was like a $300 data charge streaming the fights, but got to figure it out, and it was worth it, even though it didn't go your way. But so 125. What do you have going on next? Is there something in line? Is there somebody you want to fight? What's next for you?
You know what? I'm just excited to get in there at 125 pounds. In all honesty, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's I think it's part of it's psychological for me too, just to make that weight. The other guy makes that weight, and then whichever, because there's only so much you can put on the next day. I really do feel like I'm a natural flyweight, in all honesty. But that's it. We like, as soon as that we got back, I had to once again go back into 2-week quarantine in Canada, and then I've been in the gym ever since. Like 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, with Joe nonstop. Never gonna let that happen again. The mindset has changed for me. My whole life has changed for me now. Basically all in on this. Before it was a little bit of it, because it didn't make any sense, right?
Yep.
But now there's nothing else makes sense.
Fair enough. Is there any names at all? You're curious?
No. I'll anybody. There's one guy I definitely have in mind. Obviously, I'm gonna have to build myself up before I'm even in the position to call out or whichever. So that's it. But you know, once I get a win in there, then you know, then it's off. It's on.
Okay, we'll leave it to then. Last segment between rounds. So I'm going to ask you a question. There'll be a couple of answers. You just got to pick one, okay?
Sure.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Skateboarding is a sport.
Yeah, we'll call that. Yeah,
There you
for
go.
sure. Fighting in Canada, US, or Fight Island?
Fight Island.
Deepest division in the UFC, in your opinion?
55.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. I agree. Your favorite fighter to watch?
Is this current or is this of all time?
Any. That's fine. All time.
Mark Hominick.
Love it. Doing those push-ups. Best music genre. What's your favorite type of music?
Depends on the mood.
Favorite artist?
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Calgary, London, or Toronto?
Calgary.
Do you like a finish by knockout or submission?
Submission.
Who wins between Khabib and Gaethje?
Khabib.
Khabib or GSP in early next year if that happens?
GSP.
Okay. Garbrandt or Figueiredo in the flyweight division?
Holy smokes. I definitely think that's Figueiredo.
Me too. A number one contender on the same card, Alex Perez or Brandon Moreno?
Marino.
And Malcolm Gordon and whoever the UFC matches up with you next?
Malcolm Gordon.
Malcolm Gordon. Any sponsor shout outs or social media you wanted to add at the end here?
Just everybody that's ever supported me and just keep doing it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Once again, never saying sorry again. But, you know, we're going to come back way stronger. And I'm just excited to show you guys what happens next.
Yeah, and I'm actually sorry too. So 12-4 professional record. Malcolm X Gordon. Can't wait till you get back in the cage at 125. Show what you can do at that weight class. We've seen, you know, based on the results from before, what you can do. We really appreciate your time. Thanks again. This is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much, buddy.
Boom. Thank you so much for having me once again.
No problem. You take care.
Appreciate it.
Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, really happy to have on, you know, he was a former huge welterweight contender in Canada here, but he's found his way back, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Just got a huge win at XFC 43, and happy to have on Ryan Dickson today. How's it going?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We appreciate it. So I know you grew up in Burlington. Just wondering, you know, some of the hobbies you had growing up there, and then ultimately what got you into MMA.
Anything competitive, literally anything. If I'm playing Monopoly, I eat really fast because when we were little, if one of us didn't finish in time, the other ones would be like, oh, you're going to eat that? You're going to eat that? And we'd be getting in each other's face. So no matter what it is, if it's competitive, that's what I want to do. And I started off with hockey and soccer, and then it transitioned into like football a little bit, and then I got more, like, it just kept getting more intense. And then eventually I started wrestling in high school. I did one season of wrestling, did pretty well, and then I was like, man, I want to start boxing. And then boxing in at Joslin's, it did right in the next room beside there's jiu-jitsu, so I thought, why not try both? And then that's it. The rest is history.
Yes, so I know one of your coaches is Jeff Joslin. He actually lives around the corner from me, and we chatted a few months back as well. Who were the other coaches kind of in your corner for that fight a few weeks ago?
Well, because of all what's going on right now with the COVID stuff, I haven't been able to train with Jeff. I didn't train with Jeff at all since before February, and so for this camp, I was training with Amr Bonham, Amro Faustini, with Hussein and all the guys at Toronto Top Team. I would go out to BTC for sparring. I went to Niagara Top Team too with Chris Prickett and those guys out there. So I've been training with kind of a little bit of everybody, and it's been good, man. I'm getting a lot of different looks. I wouldn't recommend this type of training for most people, but I've been in the sport for a really long time, and now I can kind of put my own game together. But when you're coming up, I would recommend like having a coach to put your game together because they've seen it more, right?
Yeah.
I've stepped back from the game 5 years ago after 21 fights and a lot of experience all over the world. And then when I stepped back, I got into that coaching mindset. And now that I have all this experience, I have all this like time in the ring and then time coaching as well. I can kind of put my game together. I just go around to all the best guys and then I figure out what they do and then I like take those and put them into my game.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it too. I coach as well, and I know a lot more from coaching than when I played. And if you could only go back, like you're obviously still continuing, but if you could go back and play when you were younger, when you were a kid, 18, 19, right, and implement the knowledge you've gained over years of coaching and actually teaching it, just imagine what you could have done. Just speak to, I guess, why you did end up stopping fighting, because I know I saw a couple fights in person that you had before you kind of took a break. Was there any reason for that, and what got you back into it, I guess?
It was a mixture of a bunch of things, but I think I was getting too extreme into weight cutting, and then it started and then my lack of striking knowledge and game planning, I took too many shots to the head. And with the weight cutting so drastic, I wasn't able to take the shots that I used to be able to. And I started getting, I lost a very, very close decision against Jason Fisher. He's a good fighter out in Michigan. He's actually the coach, one of the coaches and training partners of my next opponent, Bobby Nash. And I lost to him by decision. He took my belt, but I broke his leg, he needed 2 reconstructive surgeries and 2 years to get back to action. So it's like I lost the decision 3 rounds to 2, but he won the actual fight. So right then and there, I was kind of like, I was devastated, I was devastated because I was in the talks with the UFC to maybe fight in one of the shows, winning if I had won that fight, and then I lost. Then I took another fight in my hometown in Burlington, and I got quickly like blasted out of there by Jason Witt.
I was there for that fight, actually. I was watching Josh that night, and he just won his last one in the UFC, right?
Yeah, he's in the UFC now. He's good, man. And he came in. I came in. I was ready, like I was in shape and stuff, but my mindset was not as good. And if anyone has seen me fight, like if you saw the Dave Mazzani fight, I got blasted in that fight too because he's got power and he dropped me, but then I came back to win by knockout. And in against Jason Witt, he dropped me, but then I took him down and like I don't know, like I just feel like if that one, being in front of my hometown and stuff, it sucked. And then my last try facing a tough guy in the Sean Burrell, another UFC vet, fought for the Bellator title, took Wonder Boy to decision. And he missed weight by 7 fucking pounds, man. The guy missed weight by 7 pounds. So then I'm like, fine, I'll fight you if you weigh 185, no more than 185 come fight time. Because I'm usually like 180, right?
Yep.
So he's like, okay. Then come fight time, we're at the venue. We weigh him with the commission, and he's like 190 something. So the guy missed weight 2 times, and then I still fought him. And then he did well. He's world class. Like he buckled me, but fuck, man, you miss weight twice. Fuck, man, I want to fight that guy again because he didn't even fight me. He couldn't make the weight. Unprofessional. The guy's supposed to be like top level athlete, and he can't make weight. So then when I lost that fight, I was devastated, and it was embarrassing. I got cut it was one of the worst cuts in MMA. So I stepped back. I was really down, and I was like, fuck, I'm just hanging him up. And I started doing the firefighting stuff,
Yep.
And then once I started getting healthy and following like good lifestyle and learning and shit and coaching, and I was training part-time with a lot of guys who are like high level jiu-jitsu guys, and I was doing well. And then one of my main training partners, Hussein Hazimi, he's a silver medalist for purple belt heavyweight world for the pans. Like he's really good. Good. And I was training with him, and he's like, man, you should compete again. So I was gonna just ease into jujitsu and maybe fight again, but then COVID hit. So then like I was going crazy in my house just doing yoga by myself. And Amer's messaging me. He's like, "Yo, fuck this. Let's train. Let's train." And we just started training. And then Amer got silver in the worlds for super heavyweight or ultra heavyweight. Like he's 215. He's like a big boy. And then he just got double silver in the pans. And so he's like a really good training partner. And we've been training super hard all the time. And then as it got better, as things started clearing up, we trained more and more. And then I was like, fuck it, let's fight. So, and then Rob Beavers got me this fight with XFC, which is awesome. They're awesome. XFC is really good to work with.
Yeah, which is good to hear. I saw, they were coming back and they had all these protocols in, they rematch you with Mike Hill. You fought Mike Hill a few years back. And, there's a bunch of Canadians, obviously, in the welterweight and the lightweight tournament, but you are fighting Bobby Nash next. What do you think? Obviously the performance was fantastic after being out of the cage for a while. How did you feel about that? And what are you looking forward to with this next fight with Bobby Nash?
Well, I felt amazing because I never trained harder and smarter, and I was finally healthy again. I was always injured. And I got this, it's a device. I'm going to show it to you real quick. But can you see it? Am I showing it enough?
Yep.
It's like a TENS machine, like a stimulation. It does voltage therapy, but it's like next level. I've never felt something like that. Like I always had like physio and all that kind of stuff, and it never really helped because I was always getting injured. This thing, that being said, if I had physio as often as I use this thing, like when I get injured, I'll put that thing on for like hours, so it's not a miracle machine, but it really does help. And I've been using that thing, the Atom, and it's really kept me healthy for real. And I was able to train the whole time. And then the only reason I was a bit nervous was because I hadn't won in like 6 years. I was coming off the back losses and then 5 years off. So I felt amazing. And I remember telling my corners and stuff, but at least I do. I get super like almost cocky, because you have to have a belief in yourself. If you're going to fight a dude in front of, they say like millions of people, and he's trying to hurt you and it's only you and him in a cage, like you have to be confident. If you have any doubt in your mind, you're going to get blasted. Someone's going to fuck you up. So, but I kept telling them, I'm like, man, I feel different. These guys aren't on my level. I feel different. And then finally we get to the dressing room and we're backstage and we're hitting pads and we're looking at the other guys. And I have Leo Nogueira in my corner, who's a 5-time world champion, and he's a black belt, one of the best in the world, 5-time world champ. And he's looking at the guys' jiu-jitsu and he's kind of like, I don't know. And he knows my jiu-jitsu. And he's like, man, I think you're right. And then we're doing pads. And I had Mike Malott holding pads for me. And I was really happy to have him there. He's a wicked coach. I fought and lost against him in the jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yeah, so
COVID.
he was a good fighter. I saw, like, I know about his record and all that stuff, but then he's transitioned to coaching. I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Well, and he's trying to get back into it too. We were talking, him and I talked a lot when we were out in Atlanta, and he wants to fight again. So I really hope he can get a fight because that he's a stud. But we were like, man, it's true. Like I'm just on another level than the guys that were in the tournament. And then I went out and I was able to show it. And then I was like, okay, this is it. Now against Bobby Nash is legit, man. Mike Hill is legit. Mike Hill fought in the Ultimate Fighter show. Mike Hill beat me back in the day. Mike Hill beat Spencer Jebb, who lost to Bobby as well. Like Mike Hill's tough, and Bobby Nash is tough. But I think it's gonna be the same thing, man. I'm gonna destroy Bobby Nash.
Yeah, and I want to bring up one quick thing. You talk about your 3 losses and then your layoff. Well, Mike Hill also fought within the last month, so he was coming fresh off a fight too. Now it didn't go his way, but that made it that much tougher. He was, fresher. He had been in the cage at least more recent, than obviously you. But Yeah, no, that was a fantastic win, amazing performance, and looking forward to that semifinal matchup. But do you know when that'll be? Is that February, March, or?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in February, and I hope it's in February. But yeah, it's supposed to be in February, they've said, and there's no date yet finalized. But me and Bobby Nash are gonna throw down, and I can't wait to take down a former Big Ten wrestler that they keep talking about. He's gonna
Yeah,
get dusted, man.
yeah, I believe so too. I also, if Scott Hudson and
Yeah.
O'Connor can win in lightweight, that'll be 3 out of 4 in the final with you getting there too, with all Canadians. So that,
Scott's gonna win for sure. I know Scott's gonna win because him and I are gonna train together. We were talking about it quite a bit when we were out there, and Scott and I, we live close by. We've got a lot of the same friends, so it only makes sense that we train.
yep.
And I think Scott's gonna kill it, man. Scott's tough.
Yeah, you are too. What are some of the hobbies you have outside of the cage, outside of coaching? Just some things you like to do for fun that get your mind off training and just the work life and all that stuff.
I like to learn, like whatever is kind of taking my attention, I like to learn about, So the last while I've been learning about I've been doing online courses and stuff. Like I'm taking the human physiology course, which is very interesting, especially in this times, how our body works at the cellular level and circulatory system and all that kind of stuff. And I got a dog. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's good. I take him around,
What
walk him
kind? What
around.
kind of dog is that?
He's American Bully Pit mix. Yeah, he's good. But yeah, I'll hang out with some friends and stuff. I'll just study and train. My life's pretty much that. I'm trying to get a firefighting job, so anything I can learn that makes me more valuable to a department is what I'm pretty much doing. And while I'm not doing that, I'm living a healthy lifestyle, trying to get as good as I can with fighting. So
Yeah, good way to put it. Yeah, just to finish off between rounds, I'll ask you a question. There'll be a couple of answers that you may have. Okay.
yeah.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Probably hockey. Hockey.
Do you have a favorite team?
Colorado Avalanche.
Nice. My other buddy on the podcast, it's his favorite team too. So he'll like
I
that.
liked them back when I was a kid, way like when they were the Nordiques. My grandpa was a Habs fan, so I had to be different. And
Yeah.
I was a Nordiques fan, and then they became Colorado. So
Favorite food to eat?
probably desserts. Like I like anything that goes well with like a vanilla ice cream, like apple pie, brownie, or cookie or something like that.
Favorite getaway spot in Canada? Somewhere that it's kind of like a hidden gem.
Shoot. I don't know. Probably just my family's house. Like we're at my hometown. Like I'm in Toronto now, so when I go to my parents' house or to Burlington or something, I like that. As cheesy as that sounds.
No, that's cool. Favorite country in the world other than Canada?
The greatest country in the world, you say?
Or just your favorite other than Canada?
Oh. I really liked when I was in Brazil. I have a lot of friends in Brazil, and I like the food and the people and the everything about it's awesome except for the government and stuff there is pretty bad.
Yeah. Favorite kind of music?
Hip hop.
Favorite movie of all time?
Dumb and Dumber.
Me too, buddy. Me too. And who's in your top 5 pound for pound fighters of all time?
Khabib, GSP, John Jones, Demetrius, and then I like Mike Tyson.
Nice. And he's got a big fight coming up in a couple weeks here too. Looking forward to that. Who wins, Nash or Dickson, and how?
It's gonna go either one of two ways, and they're kind of like, so we're either gonna have like fight of the, like we're gonna make XFC super super famous, and it's gonna be a war, like super technical, because that could happen. but I don't think he's going to match my pace of the training camp. So I think it's going to be, I think I'm going to pretty similar to Hill, but I feel like I'll get mount on him and blast him.
Pound away.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that, man. Any sponsors, shout outs, or social media to finish up?
Mainly just my Instagram is at Ryan Dickson. So RyanDickson 10. That's my Instagram. And then huge thanks to Toronto Top Team for real. Like they helped me train a lot for this. Big shout out. Thanks to like Niagara Top Team, BTC, the guys everybody who I train with. There's too many to name, so I can't name drop. But Amr helped me a lot too, being able to train with him at his place. And then Rob Vevers for finding me these fights, and Pride Management. For now, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of people that helped me out, and I'm sorry if you didn't get mentioned, but I don't want to be that guy that just rambles on and on and on. So thanks to my training partners, and thanks to Rob Vevers for getting me this fight.
Really appreciate your time, man. Looking back and watching you fight before, you did lose 3 in a row. I have a good feeling in this tournament you're going to win 3 in a row and flip the script, change the career path, and people are going to be knocking on your door and calling you again to the big show. I truly believe that. You've always been a finisher. You're going to continue to do that, and we just really appreciate your time, and good luck in your next fight against Bobby Nash.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
No problem. This is Ryan Dickson, and this is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you.
No problem. Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have 16-5 featherweight. He just fought recently and had a fight booked for November 14th. It is pushed back to December, but we're looking forward to Justin Guitar Hero Jaynes getting back in there. How's it going today?
Hey, man, going real well. Just enjoying this Vegas heat right now. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. So you were born in Michigan. Whereabouts in Michigan, and what kind of hobbies did you have growing up?
Man, I was born in St. Clair, Michigan, and then I grew up in Richmond, Michigan. And, I lived on a 40-acre horse ranch out there. At one point, we had 20 horses. I was always, I'm very outdoorsy, man. Growing up, we didn't have the video games like the kids do nowadays. So, I'm very big in outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping, just going out in the woods and even just going for a walk, man. I'm very outdoorsy, man. And I was like that as a kid, and I'm like it as an adult now. People ask me why I fight, and I fight so I can fish and hunt, because that's what I primarily care about, is fishing and hunting. Those are 2 of my favorite hobbies as well. So what do you hunt for? What do you fish for? In Michigan, it's primarily whitetail and turkeys. If I'm going to go out to Lake St. Clair, I like to fish for walleye. My favorite fish to fish for is muskie. I'll do some bass fishing. In Vegas, it's a little bit different. It's mule deer hunting out here. I have a ram tag for November. I have a cow elk tag for December. So, anything big game, dude. Like, yeah, last year I shot an antelope. I shot a 202-inch mule deer, and I shot a cow elk last year. And this year I just drew a cow elk tag. So, dude, if it has 4 legs and it's going to give me a challenge, I want to hunt it, man. I'm a bow hunter primarily. Unfortunately, in Nevada, you don't really have a choice. You put in for a draw. So I shot my mule deer with a muzzleloader last year, which was still pretty cool, but I prefer bow hunting over it all. This year, I got my son his first deer in Michigan, and I shot a nice 7-point. Awesome. Congrats. I mentioned it because my buddy grew up on the other side of St. Clair, in like Wallaceburg area in the Canada region. And he talks about Lake St. Clair all the time. He's brought me up there a few times. His name is Josh, and he's part of our podcast here too. And great fishing, one of the best lakes I've been to. Yeah, Lake St. Clair is incredible, man. And unfortunately with the COVID thing, when I did do some walleye fishing on Lake St. Clair, we weren't able to go to the Canada side. There's a place called the Hump over there that I love to, throw in some musky lures or throw in some walleye rigs and see what I can find in that lake. Nice. So what gym are you training out of currently, and who are your coaches? Right now, as I've been at Extreme Couture for 10 years now. Dennis Davis being the head coach, co-head coach, Roman Isbell being, his partner per se. So I work with Roman Isbell, Dennis Davis. I have Andrew Jacoby on my athletic training staff. I have Matt Crowley as my strength conditioning coach. I have Kara Rowe from Michigan, as my boxing instructor. She comes out here, man. I have so many coaches. It's hard to even get a list. It's Eddie Baracco, doing stand-up drills on Monday and Friday. For gi jiu-jitsu, I've worked with Fredson Pichal, but I'm ranked under Dennis Davis, Robert Fallis. The list can go on, but I have to say my 3 primaries are Dennis Davis, Roman Isbell, and Andrew, or my 4 primaries, Andrew Jacoby, athletic trainer, and then Matt Crowley as the strength coach.
Yeah, it's a pretty good corner. Getting into the UFC here, you had a 9-1 record over 10 fights. Just speak to your experience, fighting outside of the UFC and what ultimately earned you a contract.
Fighting out of the UFC, I've had 70 fights, between all the organizations I've fought for, between pro and amateur. And, there's nothing really like fighting for the UFC. It's when I got to the UFC in June, it was like a big weight off my shoulders because they have somebody for everything. When you're fighting on these smaller regional circuits, you and your team has to take care of everything. Has to take care of your weight cut, has to take care of, make sure that everything's in play, make sure all your clothes are right, make sure there's just so many other things. And once you get to the UFC, the only thing you have to worry about is fighting. Everything else is taken care of. Going on to 9-1, I'm trying to think. My loss to Tommy Aaron back in like 2016 or 2017, which I didn't think I lost. But yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I've been putting in my dues. I moved out here, like I said, 10 years ago, and moved away from family, friends, family, to pursue this crazy dream of MMA, man. And this last year, I wasn't really sure if it was ever going to happen, and then COVID hit. Got Frank Camacho's original opponent's coach got it and opened up a spot for me on 1 day notice, and I showed up and knocked Frank Camacho out in 40 seconds.
Yeah, and that was fantastic. And, a lot of people talk about analysts and all these people talk about, and I'm going to ask you, but they basically talk about, if someone's coming in on short notice, maybe they don't have the gas tank to go 3 rounds. So they want, maybe the focus is to come in over aggressively and try to get them out early so it doesn't get to the 13th, 14th, 15th minute. Is that kind of how you looked at that fight, or is that kind of incorrect?
That fight, I know it could look like that on paper, obviously, but what people have to understand is I wasn't coming off the couch. I have a very diligent and very strong management system, Iridium Sports under Jason House. And Jason was calling me every couple of days, man, making sure I'm training, making sure I'm in the gym. And my coaches were as well. Andrew Jacoby, Dennis Davis, Roman Isbell. Every day they're calling, man, hey, you're going to be at training. Hey, make sure you get your road working. Hey, we're 1 day away. We're 1 week away. This could happen at any time. Like I said, it was like 9 p.m. Wednesday night when I got the call to fight on Saturday. So I was fortunate to be in the right spot physically, the right spot mentally. And when I got the call, I was more than ready. I was under 170 pounds. I made weight easily. And, it was my time to shine. It was my time to show the world, what they've been missing out on, the things I can bring to the cage. And, fortunately in that 40 seconds, I was able to give a little taste. And, here I am now, 2 fights into the UFC, 2 more to go on my contract. If I knock my next opponent out, I'm going to be looking for a contract extension. And
then is that like a normal weight cut for you, 20, 25 pounds?
Going to lightweight is, that's pretty standard, walking around about 170, 175 to get to lightweight. Now, featherweight's been a different game. I haven't had much of my career at featherweight. Gavin Tucker was the first time I've made the full cut down to 45. And let me tell you, it was fucking death. I lost over 30 pounds. I lost 33 pounds in 3.5 weeks. I showed up, I made weight. And, although my mind was there, my body just couldn't keep up, man. After that first round with Gavin, it wasn't that he put a pace on me. It was my own doing. I cut way too much weight, way too soon. And my body just couldn't keep up with the cardio issue going to featherweight on that short notice.
So I was going to ask you about that fight just because we're from Canada and I've followed Gavin for a while. A few guys I went to high school with, one of them fought him earlier on in his career. What did you think of that fight other than like the tough weight cut? Did he, because you almost finished him in the first round, was it?
Yeah. I almost finished him a couple times in the first. I thought in my head I almost finished him 2, if not 3 times in the first. I dropped him with that big uppercut. Let's talk about Gavin Tucker for a second. We're talking about a very, very tough dude. Anything I say for the next 2 minutes isn't taking anything away from him. by any means, because I think he's a phenomenal grappler. I think he's a phenomenal kickboxer. I think he's a phenomenal fighter, and he's going to have a great career. But that wasn't Justin Jaynes in the ring. You got about one round of Justin Jaynes there. The second round in my head, basically, I was so tired and so heavy. All I was thinking is, let's just survive this round and try and knock him out again in the third to catch our breath. But it's self-inflicted. Gavin didn't do anything to me. It was all me. It wasn't like he put a pace on me that I couldn't keep up with. I trained my ass off for the fight. Just the weight cut got to me, man. And again, hats off to Gavin. He performed under adversity. He got dropped, he got choked, and I threw the kitchen sink at him for what I had. He survived. He's a tough dude. He's a good guy. He just happened to be the better guy that night. That wasn't the Justin Jaynes that everyone knows. Like I said, that's the first time I've cut down to 145. And with my coaching staff always developing, and I think the next time I go down to featherweight, it's going to be a different Justin Jaynes you're going to see in there.
Are you going to stay at featherweight then with a full training camp?
I would like to, honestly, I'd like to stay at lightweight. But right now, lightweight's so stacked, and they have so many guys on the roster that they've requested that I go down to featherweight. And when your boss asks you to do something, you don't throw a fit. You just do it, man. That's a paycheck for me. So if Sean and Dana want me at featherweight, I'll fight at featherweight. I'd like to see a lightweight opening, and I'd like to jump in because I try to stay in pretty good shape all the time, and I just feel so much bigger and stronger at lightweight than I do at featherweight. But again, I'll make the trip down. I just need a little bit more time. I can't do it in 3 weeks. Unfortunately, I ran my mouth kind of running up to that bout that I told them that I could make weight anytime, anywhere, any place. All right, well, here's a spot in 3 weeks. I wasn't about to say, oh, well, not that spot, any other one but that one, So I showed up. I made weight I said I was going to do. And at least for the first round, I felt pretty good. And after I slapped on that guillotine choke, I burned my arms out, man. And man, I just wish his pants wouldn't have fallen down. That fucking sucked. I know I'm the first person to ever pull their opponent's pants down on ESPN. But if you have any grappling base, I feel if his pants didn't come off, my legs didn't fall off, Gavin Tucker was going to sleep at the end of the round there.
Yeah, so we were looking forward to your next fight, November 14th. Gabriel Benitez has been pushed back from some unfortunate news for yourself.
Yep.
Just speak about getting through sickness right now, and then hopefully getting back in there in December.
Yeah, man, this whole sickness thing, I think it's so blown out of proportion. I guess maybe because I'm young and I'm in shape, but I body aches, light coughing, ain't no thing but a chicken wing. It's tough, man, because I'm 4 weeks out right now, and I got to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then people are like, oh, well, you still had 2 weeks to train. It's like, Gabriel Benitez has been in the UFC since like 2014. He has 10 fights in the UFC. He's not someone that you overlook and train for 2 weeks and show up and fight. I really like the matchup. I think it'd be very exciting for the UFC. I think it'd be very exciting for the fans. Another tough, rangy southpaw. Gavin wasn't very rangy, but, still southpaw. I was very looking forward to the matchup. My coaching staff was. But I need to care about my career. I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm not going to show up there not ready. So I don't think I'll be fighting Gabriel in December. I think they're going to find a replacement for me. And then when December comes along, it's just going to be a totally new opponent for me.
We're looking forward to that. When you do have a training camp and you cut weight and then you fight, what do you do to celebrate afterwards?
In the last 2 UFC fights I've had, not much, honestly, because I'm fighting so early in the day. Like, I think I fought at 3 p.m., then I fought at 3:30 p.m. By the time I'm done and all that shit's done, I go out to dinner with my family. My son was here for my first 2 fights, so we hang out, usually do like a staycation on the strip or something, go get a hotel and just kind of eat some junk food, and maybe I drink a couple beers or something. But, honestly, by the time 9-10 o'clock rolls around, I'm so tired that I just go to sleep. So I just like to spend time with friends and family, people that have really been there since day one, drink a couple beers, laugh, and just enjoy our night together, man. I'm not big on going out and partying and drinking anymore like I used to be. I'm not saying I don't do it from occasion, but, after I fight, we'll go to dinner like 6 o'clock, and then I just want to hang out and just enjoy the company of all the people around me.
Yeah, it sounds legit to me. You did talk about some of your hobbies, fishing and hunting. Do you have anything else that you do other than training and fighting?
Just fishing and hunting, man. You know, I fight so I can hunt and fish, so I can afford, because if you hunt or fish, you know how expensive that trip to Gander Mountain or Bass Pro or Cabela's can be. You know, you show up with a wallet full of cash and you're leaving broke almost every time. So, you know, I need to get a fight booked, because I got an elk hunt coming up in December. I got a ram hunt coming up in November, and I need some cheese to pass me through these next 2 months of going up in the mountains and trying to kill something.
Maybe you can get it in with Chad Mendez or something. He's got a few things going on.
Right. Corey Anderson as well, man. Corey
Yeah.
Anderson, he's been out to with him and I stay in touch. You know, he's hunting up in the northeast side of the country, and you know, I'm hunting everywhere, man. And that's basically, I'm going to take the rest of October. I'm going to quarantine for these. I'm going to kill some more animals and go up and do some fishing. And maybe my quarantine, I'll take my motorcycle up north and do some fishing for a weekend or something.
That sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
Last segment here.
So
between
we're in Canada. We're in Canada. Are you based?
Oh, we're about an hour south of Toronto, between Niagara Falls and Toronto, basically.
All right. I fought a lot of Canadians. You know, Jesse Gross.
Yeah, Jesse Gross.
Yeah, the Ghost, man.
Ghost,
Him and I grew up in the amateur scene. We fought together. I fought in Pinnacle, which was in Ontario.
Yeah.
You know, there was Battle at the Border XCC years ago. So he's small world, man. Super tough dude. Jesse's super good guy, man. He's come out and support me for some of my regional shows since then.
Nice, yeah. We get up to, when we do hunting and fishing, usually, like I said, Lake St. Clair, but hunting more up north, like Sudbury, Parry Sound area. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
I've heard of Parry Sound, but I've never personally been there.
Yeah, so last segment between rounds, I'm going to ask you a question. There'll be a couple different answers, okay?
Sure, go ahead.
What's your favorite kind of food to eat?
Oh, pizza.
What about your favorite kind of game to eat?
It's either antelope or elk. Right now I'm on a big elk craze, although I don't have any taste buds right now. I like elk. I really like elk burger.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Football.
Back in Michigan, what would be a place that you would suggest somebody to go to if they weren't from there?
Ooh. Let's think. Yeah, that's tough. Mackinac Bridge, man. Mackinac Bridge and Mackinac Island. I think, you know, you go to Mackinac Island, there's no cars. It's all, you either travel by foot or by bicycle. I think it's a pretty neat experience, and it's very, very pretty out there in the fall.
If I can go back a question, who's your favorite football team?
Detroit Lions, man. Let's go.
And you follow the Wolverines as well, or?
I don't follow college too much. I used to when I was in high school, but after moving to Vegas, you know, I'd be lucky to catch a Lions game once a week.
DeAndre Swift had a good weekend for me in fantasy, so.
2 touchdowns, 114 yards rushing. Come on now, hell yeah, he did.
Huge.
But close game against the Bears. Here's a fact for Swift: his senior year never dropped one pass that was targeted towards him. Drops the winning loft ball against the Chicago.
Week 1.
What the fuck? Not one drop pass. Not like he had 100, you know, passes and he dropped, you know, or he made 99%. 0, 100%. He's caught every ball ever thrown to him, and he drops the loft game-winning pass. I thought it was pretty disgusting. It's very fine though. It's
a tough way to start the year in your first game ever.
Bad.
Yeah. What's your favorite country other than the States?
You know, I've been fortunate to travel a lot, you know, and I don't ever think I'm going to be a millionaire from fighting. I don't think I'm ever to retire from fighting and be financially set. But I do have a lot of great memories, and I do get to travel the world. You know, my favorite country, Scotland. You know, I really enjoy. I went to Scotland in 2015, 2016. I met some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They treated me like their family. You know, it's funny because growing up on that early regional circuit, you know, I met this promotion on a website called MMA Recruiter, and basically it's just MMA promoters looking for fighters at the time. And I paid for my travel. I flew out there. They picked me up in this rackety-ass van, and I thought I was going to get murdered. Then they took me to the venue, and it ended up being a great experience, and one of the best experiences from my fight game that to date, man. I've been to India, I've been to Thailand, Mexico, and as of right now, Scotland is my number 1 choice.
Cool. Probably mine too. Went there on a rugby tour in high school, and phenomenal place.
Incredible, right? Yeah, I loved it.
Next question. Top 5 MMA fighters of all time, pound for pound.
You know, I get in arguments with a lot of people about this, and, you know, I'd say George St. Pierre is the number one fighter of all time. And my argument to them, they're like, well, he lost to Matt Serra. Yes, he did lose to Matt Serra. But what George did that no other fighter has done is lost and then came back and went on a tear. So although he got clipped by Matt Serra and knocked out, he was the champion. He lost his belt, beat Matt Serra, and then went on his long journey. Not to mention, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. Those are some of the toughest weight classes. I think number two is John Jones. It's hard to have him on your list because of all the PED, all the drug issues. But again, he's a fucking stud. Number three, Anderson Silva. Again, another stacked weight class. He just went through the whole weight class up and down and all around for such a long time. Number four, pre-USADA, Jose Aldo. And number five, that's a tough one. Those are my top four. Number five, I don't know. I got four for you. I got four out of five for you.
We'll throw the Guitar Hero in at number five.
Yeah, Guitar Hero number five. I'm about to make it my show the world how devastating Guitar Hero can be.
Yeah. So actually, they just announced today Jose Aldo and Cheeto Vera are going to fight. So that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, I just saw that. It's going to be good for Jose. I don't like that he's down at 135. I think he's I don't know. I see these studs like Frankie Edgar, who's the 155-pound champ, go down to 45. Now he's at 35. It's like, man, like I just feel they're taking away so much of their explosive power and muscle that, and it could affect their cardio too. And, that's what Frankie's one of my favorite fighters of all time, man. And, I just hope that the weight cuts don't start to impede on his cardio and his pace. So
yeah, it's something that I would think would happen more in your mid to late 20s, not at mid 30s and down. Isn't it harder to cut weight later on?
Dude, it's weight cutting. I'm 31. I just turned 31 in August. It has become so fucking hard that I remember when I was 20 years old, jumping the sauna, sitting there for a couple hours. It'd suck. I grit it out, make weight, all done. Now it's like I get anxiety. I don't have anxiety about anything, but I get anxiety about cutting weight, getting in a hot tub, getting in a sauna, getting in a sauna suit. I lose sleep over it. I genuinely lose sleep over it in my 30s now. When I was 20, every week, man, I wrestled in college for 4 years. We do what we have to do. We make weight, no big deal. And now it's like fucking death.
Just to finish up, any sponsors, shout outs, or social media you wanted to?
Hey, shout out to Extreme Couture right now. I know we're all going through a hard time. The gym had to get shut down for a week because of the people exposed, but I know we'll be back, opened up, ready to go here sooner than later. Shout out to everyone that's, battling COVID right now. Personally, for me, it hasn't been a big deal at all. But I know there's some older people that, may have been struggling. So, just shout out to all of them. Shout out to Self Equipment. Shout out to Iridium Sports. Shout out to Bump Box. Shout out to Evolve Nutrition. Eat to Evolve, one of my meal prep companies. Shout out to Lane Frost out of Oklahoma. Self Equipment out of Oklahoma. The list goes on, man. It's hard for me to shout out all my supporters because I have so many people supporting me on this crazy journey or have supported me that, I always feel like I forget somebody or miss somebody and I feel bad about it. So primarily comes down to friends and family, man. Shout out to all my friends and family. We'll get through this. We'll be back in action in December. I'm putting this left hand right on someone's jaw and putting them to sleep.
You're a stand-up guy, and we're happy after, a decade of putting in such hard work and moving out and investing in this sport that you finally got a chance on the big stage. Hope you get over this sickness. Hope you feel better. Get back in the cage, kill some game in November for us. And we really appreciate your time. Justin, Jaynes, this is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, man. You have a good day, all right?
You too. Take care.
Thanks.
Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, yeah.